Hi, how you doing? Thanks so much for being here. I'm Dwayne Jenkins, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the harmonic scale. I'm real excited today because I just got a batch of my books in that I'll be putting in my eBay store. I've got a few of them here. Why don't you check them out? This one's called Learn to Play Acoustic Guitar. It's a book I just wrote a few months ago. This one's pretty cool. It's teaches you all the things you need to do to get started playing acoustic guitar. So if you're doing that, I would recommend checking that one out. This one here, Learn Guitar for Beginners, Simple Method for Beginners. This is like a starter book if you're just getting started playing guitar. Got all kinds of cool. This one's pretty cool because it's got full color pictures in it. It teaches you, and this is good for either electric guitar or acoustic guitar. Kind of get started with that one. I've also got this one here, Rhythm Guitar Alchemy. This one helps you out if you're playing, rhythm with your strumming and your chords, how to create chords and how to strum better, and some music theory, stuff like that. Shows you all kinds of good stuff in there with diagrams and stuff. So if you're working on your rhythm guitar, I'd recommend checking out that one. And then I've also got my Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 1 and Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2, and these are based on how to play guitar solos. Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 1 teaches you about your scales and how to get started with those. And then Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2 teaches you, kind of continues with that, with your pentatonics, and it goes into the modes and some of the other scales like the harmonic minor and the melodic minor and things like that, scale triad relationships and things like that that really help you to understand how to play scales better. So in today's video, so if you want to check that out, I recommend checking those out. I just put, I've got those on my website and also on Amazon and my eBay store. I'll be putting these in my eBay store, and you can check those out. And I've also got my books on sale, my ebooks on sale on Kindle, so if you want to check those out, go check those out there. But today's lesson, we're going to be working out of this book right here, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2, and we're going to do a lesson on a question I got asked by one of my students the other day. He was asking me about the harmonic minor scale. Okay, now when we first start learning scales, we start off with the pentatonics. Okay, that's usually the way we start. But what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit further than that in this book here, the Guitar Wizardry 2. So let's check it out. Alright, like I said, when we first start learning scales and solos, the first place you really start is with the minor pentatonic scale. That's probably the most common one, and I would recommend starting with that first. And if you need help with that, you can check that out. One of my books here, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 1, teaches you about that. Okay, now once you get past that, the second thing that people look into are usually like the modes. Those are from your major scale. Those are your modes that come out of the major scale. The tone degrees, there's 7 of those because there are 7 notes in the major scale. But there's also a couple other scales that don't come out of the minor or the pentatonics or the modes, and one of those is your harmonic minor scale. Okay, your harmonic minor scale is a little bit different. It doesn't come from the pentatonics or the modes. It's just kind of over here on it by itself. But it's really cool because it gives you some characteristics that are a little bit different than those other ones. So what we're doing today is we're working on, out of this book, this is Chapter 5, Lesson 23, the harmonic minor scale. Okay. So what we're looking at is, first of all, you want to understand that it's all based on the intervals of the notes, all right? So like, for instance, if you have a major scale, okay, and your major scale is based on 8 notes, 1 through 8, your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? That's 8 notes, 8 syllables, 8 letters, all right? So let's just say, okay, and then what you want to do is, if you have all of those, let's say in the key of C, okay, you'd have all 8, that's your major scale. And then if you do a minor scale, what you want to do is you want to flatten the 3rd, flatten the 6th, and flatten the 7th by 1 tone degree, which means that if you had a, say your 3rd was an E, you would make it an E flat. If your 6th was a G, it would become a G flat. Okay, it's flattened by 1 tone degree, by 1 fret back. Okay, so you got your 1, your flat 3, your flat 6, your flat 7. That's a minor scale. Okay, now in your harmonic minor, you want to flatten the 3rd and only the 6th, not the 7th, just the 3rd and the 6th, okay? So it says here, the harmonic minor scale is just another variation as a substitute for the natural minor scale, much like the melodic minor, which is another minor. We'll get into that later, though, in another lesson. We're just talking about the harmonic minor today, okay? And what it does is it gives you a different shade of color. Okay, if you look at chords and scales as colors, like a painter that looks at colors, all these give you different shades of red, different shades of green, different shades of blue. Okay, your chords do that and your scales. All right, so in the harmonic minor scale, we'll flatten the third by a half step, like I just mentioned, but we'll also be flattening the sixth as well, okay, by a half step. So for example, let's say we had the key of A major, all right? The key of A major would be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Those are our 8 notes. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Okay? Our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Alright? Now, in a harmonic minor, we'd want to flatten the third, which is our C sharp, so we'd want to make that a C, and then we'd also want to flatten the sixth, which is the F sharp, flatten that to an F. So then we would have an A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, and A. Alright? So, for instance, if we had our guitar, okay, and we were going down the A scale here, A major scale right here, at the 5th fret, 6th string, we'd be going A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. If we wanted to make a minor scale, we would go A, B, C, because we're flattening the third, right? Then D, E, F, we're flattening the sixth, and G, because we're flattening the seventh, and then back to A. So that would give us our minor scale. And then, of course, if we're going to flatten, make the harmonic minor, then what we're going to do is we're going to flatten the third, B, C, right here, and then flatten the sixth as well, which was the F here. Okay? Oops, I'm sorry, F right here at the 13th fret. Sorry, I made a little mistake there. Alright, so then we would have A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, and A. And that would be our harmonic minor, alright? So remember, your natural minor is going to be a flat third, a flat sixth, and a flat seventh. And your harmonic minor is going to be a flat third and a flat sixth. And if you play those two scales, you're going to see that they have a different tone to them, a different kind of sound, okay? That's the main thing that you want to take into consideration. Like, once again, let's say we chose a different key, like say the key of C. We'd have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's our C major scale. If we made the C minor scale, then it would be the C, the D, E flat, because that's our third, F, G, A flat, that's the sixth, B, we'd flatten that to B flat, that's the seventh, and then to this, and then the natural C. So now we'd have the flat third, the flat sixth, and the flat seventh, okay? And then if we wanted to make a harmonic minor scale, we would just flatten the third and the sixth, which would be the E flat and the A flat. But we would keep the B natural, which is the seventh, that we had flattened in the minor scale. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just a matter of intervals. It's a matter of moving the notes around to create these different shades of sound, these different shades of color, is what we're talking about here, okay? And this works with any key. So what I would recommend you do is take any key, maybe start with the key of C because it's the simplest. That's why it's always start with the C in theory, is because it doesn't have any sharps or flats in it. Okay, and then go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. C, D, E, F, G, A, and you know, get you a piece of paper and write it down. You know, write down the 8 notes and say, okay, if this is the third, if I flatten that, you know, if I flatten the third, the sixth, and the seventh, that's going to give me the minor, the natural minor. If I flatten just the third and the sixth, that's going to give me the harmonic minor. And then play it on your guitar and see how it sounds. And by knowing this, you're going to know what's going to work over certain chords. Like, for instance, if you played a C minor flat 6 chord, okay, which is going to have your flat third and your flat 6, and you play the C harmonic minor scale over the top of it, it's going to fit because they both have the flat third and the flat 6th in them, both scale and chord. And that's how you kind of work on what fits each other. You know, you find what fits, what scales fit over what chords, because if you know the notes that are in the chords and you know how to create those notes in scales, then they're going to fit every time. They're going to sound good. And that's how a lot of those guitar players sound really good, is because they know that stuff, okay? So remember that the interval is the key, the interval of the notes. Interval meaning the distance between two notes, all right? So study your intervals. And the only way you can really do this is through study and practice, okay? I would recommend you get out a sheet of paper and you start writing stuff down. Write it down and visualize it and see it. Then you'll understand exactly how it works, because chord formulas and scale formulas all work the same. You know what I mean? And if you understand that and you study it, you'll be able to understand it and you'll be able to play it and apply it. But you can't just study it, you got to apply it as well, okay? Study it, pick up your guitar and apply it, okay? And remember that the harmonic minor and the melodic minor as well, they don't really come out of the pentatonics or the modes. They're kind of off over here on their own, which makes them really unique to play, okay? They give you a different type of sound, different kind of tone, but you got to understand how they work in order for them to be applied properly, because if you try to apply them in a certain context, they won't work. But they will work in a certain context if you understand how they function, okay? So think about that. I would highly recommend, if you're interested in scales and learning more about how that stuff works, check out this book, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2. I teach you about the modes, I teach you about the melodic minor, the harmonic minor, the natural minor. I give you examples of guitar licks within the modes. I give you the mode scale formulas, the whole step, half step formulas, which are really important to know, because then you're really going to know where those notes lie and the sharps and the flats lie within the keys, okay? And that's really important. I give you some rock licks in here. There's all kinds of examples of all kinds of stuff in here that could really help you out a lot with your playing. I've got mode triad relationships, which is the relationship between the mode and the chords that are in it. That's why some modes are major and some modes are minor, and then of course the seventh is diminished, but that's a whole nother lesson. We'll do that another time. But this book has all kinds of great stuff, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I'd recommend checking this out, or check out any of the other books that I have. All right, so remember, in order to get that harmonic minor, you got to flatten the third, flatten the sixth. All right, then you'll set it. Check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there we have it. A simple lesson on the harmonic minor scale. Not really too difficult to understand if you really think about the intervals. You got your major scale, your minor scale, you got your harmonic scale, your melodic minor scale would just be flattening the third and keeping the sixth and seventh natural. But you just got to study those formulas, okay? That's what's really going to do it for you to fully understand that. And like I said, if you need to, get my book, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2. It's going to show you all kinds of stuff about that stuff. And if you need help with your pentatonic scales, I would recommend getting the first volume, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 1, because that's going to give you an introduction to learning how to play guitar solos. Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 2 is more advanced. It's more for past that. Once you get the basics down, and then you can get past that, learn about your parallel modes, learn about your mode triad relationships, learn about your sweep picking and all that stuff. The advanced, kind of the more advanced stuff for lead guitar playing, okay? And if you're working on any of that other stuff, your acoustic guitar playing, maybe you're just getting started, or you're working on improving your rhythm, maybe you want to know more about chords, I'd recommend checking out one of those other books, because they'll really help you out as well too, okay? So thanks once again for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you found this video helpful, informative. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell for future notifications. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer those as soon as possible, all right? So keep practicing, keep studying. Until our next lesson, take care.